Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world, and thanks for joining the webcast today. My name is Stephen Gaynor, and I'm the Community Coordinator for SocialBizUG.org. On behalf of our sponsor, IBM, and our very own SocialBizUG.org, I'd like to welcome everyone to this community webcast. Before we get started with the presentation, I'd like to go over a few logistics for the event. Today's webcast will be recorded. I will post the webcast replay to the site within 2 to 3 business days. And if you have questions throughout the presentation, we encourage you to submit them. Please use the webcast chat interface for your questions. To do this, you'll see a tab with a bubble to the right of the presentation screen on your display. Click the chat bubble, select Q&A from the drop-down list, type your question, and press send. We will reserve time at the end of the webcast for the Q&A. And now I'd like to introduce today's speakers. We have someone you may have heard of, Mr. Kramer Reeves. He is the Director, Messaging and Collaboration Product Management. We have Nicole Catrana, Director, IBM Collaboration Solutions Marketing, and Margot Ezekiel, Design Team Lead, User Experience for IBM Verse. And now, without further ado, please join me, Kramer, Nicole, and Margot for their webcast of Get Ready for IBM Verse. Folks, please take it away.
Thank you, Stephen, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. Calling from beautiful Austin, Texas today, and I've been traveling around the world, visiting many of you, many partners, customers, and analysts and thought leaders as we prepare for the availability of IBM Verse. And so today, we're going to talk to you a little bit about where we stand with that. So let's move forward one. Just a reminder to many of you that we're going to talk about some roadmap items. So it's our intent to deliver these, but as you know, this is some future considerations that we want to share and get feedback on. So just a little caveat to start. Now let's go to page 2. As mentioned, I'll talk a little bit about the product and our strategy here, give you an update on the roadmap. I'm really excited to have Margot here. She's been working very closely with myself and my team and the developers on bringing to life the experience that we want Verse to represent. And then Nicole, who's been leading our marketing activities, will talk to you about all the exciting events that have been going on around the world. So very, very fun, packed agenda, and we'll save some time for Q&A at the end. Now, just a reminder, what pain are we trying to solve here? It's been an active year in this space, and it all comes back to what we believe is an opportunity to deliver exceptional productivity gains in our day-to-day interactions with not only mail, but also some of the broader social capabilities that are part of our day-to-day business and personal lives. And if we really think about how we started this journey, it was back when we started adding up all of the seconds that make up some of the inefficient times and transitions between meetings and transitions between communications. They lead to minutes that ultimately, when you add it all up, we believe we can save an hour a day, at least an hour a day, in fact. And that essentially is what we're striving for. Personally, I like to do a lot of running. Earlier this morning, I was able to hit some of the trails here in Austin. The Trail Foundation has delivered some incredible trail work around the Colorado River that runs right through Austin, and that's what I want to do with an extra hour a day. There's probably some other things that you'd like to do. That's our vision. That's what our promise is. So let's dive into this. We'll go into just a reminder about some of the capabilities we have. So let me take you through 3 or 4 charts on where we're focused from a development perspective, just so you can remember some of the key priorities. So next chart, let's start first with the big principles of development that are going into the product. The key messages, as you've all heard, are shown here. It's really based on the ability for analytics and a degree of intelligence to be added into the service to help us deliver a product that really understands you. Mail that understands you, a system that understands you. It's based on the promise that we believe analytics has arrived at a point where we can relieve a lot of the burden to free up the user to focus on higher value activities. There's also a principle around design and presenting and prioritizing what's most important to you, this idea of less clutter and more clarity. Margot is going to go into a lot of detail about the design approach that we took to arrive at this. And then certainly the evolution of social, the adoption of social, the ubiquity of social, especially from a personal or individual perspective, is beginning to resonate more and more in the enterprise space with businesses and institutions. Yet, as you know, many of our users, many of the folks in the market still utilize their inbox as their most determined and focused area of communication. So how do we bring in more of the social capabilities that we're becoming so familiar with from a personal basis and bring those closer to where users are comfortable? So these are the three principles and the three messages that are helping design the product. So let's go into a couple of these and just show you from a persona perspective, from a user perspective, from different roles that make up the sponsor users who helped us design the product, both the smaller group of sponsor users and then the larger group of design partners, many of which I can see on the webcast here you all are participating in. There's a number of different ways, different types of roles that we each take on throughout the day. One of the roles is as a multitasker, and how can we create this personalized space that will help me orient myself throughout the day? You can see along the top we introduced our important to me concepts, that is analytic-driven presentation of the most important people that we should focus on. And in a nutshell, that's what Verse is all about. Verse is an email system that brings in social capabilities driven by analytics to help you focus on who and what is important, so you can save time and increase the value that you're adding in those interactions. So here's one example where we take on the role of multitasker, and how can we take advantage of new capabilities like team analytics, which you're seeing in the middle of the page. This is a capability that allows us at a single click to understand the relationships of the people on the thread, in a meeting, in a share, so that we can, again, orient ourselves much more quickly to who we're interacting with. So let's take a look at another role. Multitasker is one that we take on almost on a daily basis in just about everything we do, and especially from a knowledge worker perspective. But the social user, as I mentioned, is also becoming more and more a priority for organizations and especially leaders to capitalize on this sharing economy that we're all a part of now. Certainly we've all embraced it from a personal perspective. We've been a little slower in the enterprise space to adopt it, to roll out some of these broader social capabilities. But the power is there, the value is there, and so we're bringing that into the inbox, bringing that into mail in a much more elegant fashion. One example on this is our ability to, in essentially 2 clicks or less, be able to move content, move conversations, move material from the inbox into the social space, a place where it could persist and be managed, that it can be interacted with and shared, where others in the team can see and utilize that. content that's important. So we've been able to do this for a while in previous capabilities within our messaging space, but the experience really wasn't there. It was still somewhat choppy to do that. Now we've made this quite simple and quite elegant in the approach. So here's another role, the social user. Let's look at one more role as we go through our day. We also are the searcher. Now, I think most of you, if you're like me, we use our inbox more than just for sending email. It's a file repository. It might be a sort of a database of contacts. It could be a reminder system for to-dos and actions. It's all kinds of things. And even as file sharing systems evolve, and even as our contact management systems are improving, and even as to-do apps and task management tools are improving and creating better linkages with the email system, we're still doing this. So how do we help the searcher find what's most important and allow them to filter in using at some degree of faceted search capability and drill into what they really need? So as you all know, we've added some advanced search capabilities utilizing some open source technology and some IBM IP to deliver a kind of experience that allows searching to be both fast and smart and allow you to uncover those hidden gems and get to the information that we're looking for. So these are just a couple of the roles. There's actually about 3 or 4 more that we looked at as we were working with real users. One of the ones that I'm most excited about, just based on the amount of travel that I do, is being on the go. I've got the Verse beta mobile app for my iPhone, and I've been using it. It's outstanding. There are many benefits to this that I'm excited about. I think more than anything, however, is the seamlessness between all of the capabilities that I use in my day-to-day personal information and collaboration and messaging environment. So with single sign-on, I get into not only mail and calendaring and contacts, but also into chat, meetings, file sharing, the ability to drill into profiles, and the ability to share as well. All of this without leaving the app. This is what makes this so exciting. The calendar capabilities are outstanding, a great improvement. And action tracking, you can possibly see that in the bottom right of the app, is one of the key principles that you've likely, if you've heard me speak, that I'm really focused on from a product management perspective as a priority for us. It goes back to this statistic that about 40% of our email comes to us as an action that we need to go take. And I get a lot of those types of emails while I'm on the road or I'm on the go, and I need to be able to manage those more efficiently. We've built in a really slick way to track actions within the app. So all of this is part of the smartphone app. We're going to share some designs shortly on the tablet app, and again, another type of role and user that we're looking at very carefully. Okay, so that's just a little bit of some of the highlights that I think you're all familiar with. One thing that you may not be familiar with is progress on our onboarding tool. One of the important elements of Verse and also of the adoption of the cloud with our users has been how quickly can we get users onboarded and active and using the capabilities. So we have applied design thinking and some of our top flight designers to help us reimagine this onboarding capability. Specifically, it's targeted towards administrators and IT leaders to help with the process. but it's designed in a way that is quite intuitive. We've gone through a number of iterations with design partners and with sponsor users. This is going to be coming out very shortly. We're in beta right now in some of the final phases, but this is going to really reduce quite a bit of the workload as you move into transferring and provisioning your users to get ready for the cloud and for Verse. So that's a little bit of sort of where we are today. I do want to spend a few minutes on where we're going, because as exciting as I am on about the portfolio today and what we have becoming available at the end of the month, we're not stopping. We have just been cranking away at new designs, looking at our roadmap both from a short-term and a long-term perspective. Let me talk to you a little bit about some of the specific Verse priorities that we're considering. And really across the board, there's some principles that you might imagine are, key to directionally where we're going, certainly with the cloud and the ability to deliver continuous innovation. As I mentioned back in 2013, I think we had 37 updates. In 2014, we were over 45. We expect to be at least one a week and likely even more than that in 2015. So it's a rapid, evergreen set of continuous delivery priorities that the cloud allows us to do, and we're going to look to deliver on that. Analytics is one of the most exciting pieces as well. We've just hired a couple of folks to help us go deeper with the linkages between Watson and the social space. We have a number of use cases and scenarios that we're looking at, and some, for example, around Cognia, a great acquisition that IBM did in the Watson group around personal and virtual assistants. Moving into more expanded recommendation engines is part of our goal. We recognize that this space really lends itself to freeing up some of the basic tasks that are part of day-to-day calendaring, meeting scheduling, and basic communications. Certainly from a mobile perspective, we'll continue with the iOS and Android and Windows perspectives and deliver more there. Some of you may have been at Mobile World Congress, where we had a nice presence there last week in Barcelona. From a social view, I'm probably most excited about what's going on here, the ability to bring in deeper linkages and more around the activities capability, and really just this point of aggregation of your shares and feeds and alerts and notifications. This is, as more and more social capabilities are being utilized by our customers, this is one of the requests that we continue to hear. How can we have a single place, a single point of focus with all of this information? And, of course, IBM stands for a high degree of security, and we'll continue there. A lot of security capabilities are going on behind the scenes, and we'll continue to invest in those. Let me go into a few more specifics here in the next chart. Specifically for Verse, there's a number of things that we've been looking at. There's some things that are fairly straightforward that you might have heard me talk about if you're at ConnectEd. We're continuing some of the personal assistant work with Watson. That's one of our highest priorities, and we'll be spending time on that, and you'll likely hear some updates about that in 2Q. Certainly the search and thread management is a big part of what we're doing. We think threading has evolved quite a bit, and as you move into the beta and you see what we've done with threading, you'll see some of the improvements will continue there. Task management, as you know, is one of my highest priorities, so we'll be expanding that. That'll likely be through deeper integration with activities, and then there's some additional capabilities here, including the look at on-premises. As we've mentioned, we would like to deliver an on-premises version sometime in 2015. So we'll continue our work there. And then finally, just from a mobile perspective, quite a bit happening here. I think the most exciting for me has to do with the MDM work we're doing with folks like AirWatch and FiberLink, our own capabilities as well, continuing to expand there, as well as some of the authentication that we want to provide. Again, I think once you see the app, it's going to really impress you on how advanced our mobile capabilities are and how delightful that experience is. Okay, so I think that's it for my section. So I want to turn it over to Margot Ezekiel, who we've been working with very closely for the last number of years on some of the design priorities, and she's going to walk you through a little bit of the practices, the people, the places, and how we applied IBM design thinking to really deliver this type of experience for Verse that's been resonating so much with the market. So Margot, over to you.
Thanks, Kramer. Welcome. We can go into the next slide. So I don't know how many people are familiar, but there's a new division in IBM called IBM Design, and the flagship studio is in Austin, where Kramer is now. And we've been hiring designers from the best design schools around the country, around the world, and also industry hires, and really increasing our design capability. The designers that get hired go through a 3-month boot camp, and they learn all about IBM design thinking and how to work on products within the company, and then they get dispersed to different projects. And I was lucky enough to get a handful for Verse. And they come in with 4 different disciplines: visual design, interaction design, user research, or front-end development, prototypers. So it's a really multidisciplinary group, and it brings a lot of energy and a lot of innovation in. So I don't know if people are familiar with Tim Brown, but he's CEO of IDEO, one of the largest design firms in the world. And, he said, "This is the largest transformation program I've ever heard of. If you're successful, it will change the world of design." We think we've already been successful with Verse. So let me tell you a little bit more about IBM Design. Go to the next slide. So there's 3 missions for IBM Design, and it's, work together, works the same, and works for me. So works together is, we know you don't work in a silo. Our applications don't run in silos. We want our products to integrate well together and integrate with other products. So that's always a tenet we're looking for. Works the same. If things are consistent and you learn what to expect and they feel like they're coming from the same company, I think it makes ease of use much better. It makes comfort. It's just a great general practice. So IBM Design is actually, now that we have a head of design in the company, they've published palettes and icons and rules and procedures, and actually I'll tell you a little bit about that at the end. But they're really driving for us to all work the same. And the last one, works for me, is really near and dear to my heart for Verse, because that was really what was important, is finding, figuring out a program that understands you and really works for you. We spent a lot of time understanding our users and having empathy and designing something that would work for them. So I'll be talking about that a little bit more. You can go to the next slide. So this is, I think, a shot from Austin. I think it's one of their town halls. You can see the guy in the front with the sort of peachy pink shirt and the jeans, and I'm sure he's wearing cowboy boots. He always wears cowboy boots. That's Phil Gilbert. He's the GM of this division, and if you ever get a chance to hear him speak, he's fabulous. He's a really dynamic speaker. And it's a really big open space, and it's open for a reason. It's, to promote creativity, to promote collaboration, and it's just a modern space with so much energy. So that's sort of what Austin can look like. You can go to the next slide, please. And as I said, this is another shot from one of our studios, and whiteboards are everywhere. And, what's so great about a whiteboard and being out and about is, the designs aren't trapped in people's offices anymore. They're right there. People can walk by, put comments on, think about it, mull over it, change things around, collaborate. And so on the left-hand side, you'll see a lot of, sort of design sketches. And on the right-hand side is sort of our signature stickies. I really think that we've probably contributed to 3M's bottom line with all the stickies we use in design thinking. But we use stickies for everything. What's great about it is everyone's always got, you can put your ideas up there, everyone's ideas get up there, then you can easily move them around, put them into groups, feed off of each other, and they just turn out to be a really good tool, and this is probably some type of exercise that they're doing. So you can see sort of the wide open spaces and the environment that we're working in. Next. And so this is some of the practices. So in addition to having all the design people in Austin going through a 3-month boot camp, IBM's also sending product teams through a 1-week boot camp. And it's the product management team, the designers, the developers, and sales all get together for a week in Austin and work through and learn about design thinking, do exercises, and then actually apply it to the product they're working on. So we've gone down to work on hills, we've gone down to work on different areas that we're investigating, and it's fabulous. And the executives have also gone through it. You might notice Jeff Schick's in here, and he's really bought into design thinking. So it's it's going through the entire company, and even though it's called design thinking, it really isn't just about design. It's not just about designers. It's much more ubiquitous. Okay, next slide, please. So this is a little irreverent, but this is one of Phil's favorite slides, so I put it in here. And as I said, the whole Verse team believes in this. Don't ship shit. We really want to ship something that is a delightful experience when you come in and work, that you enjoy working on it. You don't dread coming in and working on inbox. So we sort of always keep this in the back of our mind, and it's from every part of the experience, when you sign up to when you're using it to when you shut down, the whole thing from soup to nuts. Okay, next slide. So let me tell you a little bit about the tools that we use to apply this design thinking. There's 3 main tenets: hills, sponsor users, and playbacks. So there are 3 hills, and it's under the idea that you can only do 3 things really well. Don't try to boil the ocean, but focus on a few things and do them well, and then pick another 3 things next time and do those well. And the hills are really important. We spend a lot of time defining the hills and discussing what the hills should be. And the hills have 3 components. There's a who, a what, and a wow. The who is who our users are, and we spend time understanding that and writing personas. The what is what we're trying to accomplish in that. And the wow is really important. It's a measurable piece. It could be in terms of number of time. It could be in terms of number of clicks. It could be a sentiment analysis. It's something that we would be proud to get up on stage and, tell someone our hill, and they would say, wow, that's impressive. So the other great thing about hills is it gets everyone on the same page. There's something called the commander's intent that, if you can tell everyone where you're going and what you're going for, then they don't always need to be asking. Everyone sort of has the same mental model in their head of what we're striving for. And the hills are told in terms of a story. The sponsor users, I think Kramer mentioned earlier, that we use them to verify our designs all along the process. We use them as we're thinking about different ideas. We use them to show them designs. We use them to show implementations. And so we're always getting a fluid feedback with our end users as to how we're doing. So it's a very dynamic process. And the playbacks are also a really important part. They're the story. Ginny's mantra is, everything is a story. Tell a story. We have people in the company whose titles are storytellers. And it's a story about what we want to give as an experience. And it starts with a playback 0 that goes through the whole story. It's usually in wireframe. But it, again, tells everyone what we're going to do, shows them how we're going to do it, and gets everyone agreed and gets the stakeholders bought in. And from there on in, we do iteration playbacks every month after a 4-week iteration. And that shows our progress in the design and the development. And again, sort of gives everyone a chance for feedback and keeps everyone going. So the playbacks are a really important piece. We can go to the next one. So the other way, design thinking is so different from how we used to work is we, traditionally worked in a waterfall model where the designers would get the requirements for marketing. We would go off and design, maybe work a little with development to make sure it was feasible, give it to development. They would implement it. We'd test it. And it was very serial. This is a much more iterative approach, much more circular approach. And so just to quickly take you through it, we go through an understand phase where we really try to understand who our users are. We've come up with different personas that are really three-dimensional, so we understand what tools people work with, what their challenges are, what their day looks like, what they want to do in their free time, et cetera. Then we start to explore. We've used our workshops for this. We use a lot of different exercises. The goal is to fail fast and to try to ideate and innovate, and we use something called converge and diverge. We all do our own thing. We come back. We play back to each other. We take each other's ideas. We push it farther. So it's a lot of really rapid ideation. Once we have a design that we want to pursue, we prototype it. We use lots of different methods. We've done paper. We've done Axure. We've done HTML. We've done video. Anything that really works, and we get feedback, and then we start to evaluate it. And if it's not right, we go back just a couple of steps, and so it's a much more fluid process. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So I've been talking a lot, and now I want to give you a chance to sort of experience design thinking. And I'm sorry I didn't tell you ahead of time, but if you have a piece of paper handy, if you can grab it, I want to give you a 30-second exercise to just draw a vase, or if you don't have paper, just imagine what that would be. A vase that holds flowers. And don't worry about your drawing, just draw it and what you think of for that exercise. And I forgot to get my timer on. No judgment. Everyone can draw. Okay, hopefully you've got something on your paper. Now I want you to turn your paper over and go to the next slide. Jen, can you advance the slide? Very not available. Whoops, that's my phone. So now I want you to take 2 minutes and imagine a better way for people to enjoy flowers in their home. So you really want to focus on what is the experience of enjoying flowers, and how could you enjoy those in your home? What are the pieces, what are the attributes that you want to explore and exploit? So I'll give you a couple more seconds, and let your imagination go. Think about off-the-wall ideas. Doesn't have to be implementable. Doesn't have to be real. Just how you would rather enjoy flowers in your home. Where would you like to enjoy them? What attributes of flowers would you like to enjoy? Okay, so hopefully you've had an experience here where you looked at the problem differently. We've done this exercise many times, and people have come up with things like implanting a little garden in the middle of their coffee table so that they can always have flowers growing out of it, or putting a bud vase on every wall in the house so that they can have flowers all through the house and not just in one place. And you can see it starts to really change your way of looking at things. So let me keep going, and I'll tell you a little bit about how these things apply directly and not so theoretically to Verse. Go to the next slide. So this is my inbox. I'm embarrassed to tell you how many unread things. And traditionally mail has been just sorted by date, and that's not a very useful way to looking at mail. And it's easy to lose things, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. So we wanted to get to sort of the heart of the matter. You can go to the next slide. And we realized that, what people were feeling, we wanted to go to the empathy. What people were really feeling was, I feel guilty. I have all this email. I don't get through it. At the end of the day, I have to go through more. Did I miss something from my boss? Did I not get back to one of my coworkers? And we all carry this debt, and we feel this tremendous guilt. And, we realized that, our goal, we really emphasized our goal was to reduce the stress and give time back to people. Give Kramer his time to go run, give me time to go draw at night. And so that was sort of the real aha moment when we were planning this project of what we wanted to go after. And go to the next slide, please. So we did a bunch of workshops. These pictures are from a workshop we did in February in Boston. I have no idea why we did in Boston, not Austin. We all got snowed in last year. But again, we brought the development team, the designers, the product managers, and all got together for a week, and we did sort of a mini camp in Littleton. And the top picture is developer Corey, the guy with the blue sweater and yellow shirt. He was going through an exercise which we call the as-is. And the as-is is when you go through every little step on a task and you detail it out and to understand the pain points. So he was explaining what it was like to start a meeting at IBM or using our software. So he starts by being in the car and he's late to work and he gets stuck behind a semi trailer and he's like, shoot, I'm going to be later. And then all of a sudden he has to slam on the brakes and his coffee spills. He's like, oh great, this day is going great. Now I've got coffee on my shirt. He flies into the office. It's now, like 9 o'clock, and the meeting, of course, starts at 9. He opens up his computer. He opens up the client. That takes a while, and he's like, oh, shoot, I've got all these pop-ups going. I don't know what's going on. Starts dismissing pop-ups everywhere. He goes to his calendar. He's, it's down the hall. He starts walking. He's, trying to find the room. He's trying to find the e-meeting. He's trying to find the password. He finally sits down. He sort of gets going, and before he knows it, someone says, and Corey, and what do you think? And he's like, oh, my God. I don't even know what's going on in this. And we all late, and this is an experience we've all gone through, and it's stressful, and it doesn't really add to any delight. So that experience and understanding what the as is and understanding what the to be is actually led us to having the calendar up at the bottom all the time, having your next meeting be there all the time, one click to the e-meeting, and even putting your password there. And so there's no more dismissing, snoozing, all this other, back and forth. It's just there for you. And so that's sort of a really tangible example of how we used design thinking and led us to some of the innovations that we put into Verse. Next slide, please. Next slide. And so I just, this has been a journey. We started with, sort of the playback zero, and then we did all this different ideation. And at one point we thought, let's really go out of the box. Let's look at mail as a Facebook timeline. And then, we also had the aha moment that we really want to use mail as an on-ramp to social. And everyone's familiar with mail. It's very ubiquitous, and everyone's familiar with a left-hand message list and a right-hand preview. And we wanted people to start in a comfortable place and then bring them on our journey, into more innovative and social ways. So we kept the sort of center section to be very traditional, and then we innovated more on the top with the people. And the people are, when you work with people, you see their faces, and this is just sort of bringing people. We realized people was really the way people interact with their mail. And, the ability to not treat all mail as equally and to separate out what comes from your boss versus the cafeteria lady, and then keeping the calendar at the bottom. And then we went through and we announced it, and then we worked this year to implement, to work through the designs, implement, and we showed you in ConnectEd in January where we're at, and I'm pretty excited because we're at the final stretch and we're almost ready to go out. So that's been our journey. And I just want to leave you, you can go to the next slide, with one quote that sort of sums it up. It's by Maya Angelou. So people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's really what we're doing here. We're really looking at how we're making people feel and hoping that we're and striving to give you a delightful experience. You can go to the next slide. This is just a reference to ibm.com/design. You'll find a lot of resources there. As I said, we have a new palette. We have icons. We have interaction practices, animations, lots and lots of resources and tools. about the design language we built for IBM, and it's published now for other people to use and see. So I hope you have a chance to go out there and explore. Thanks. I think it's over to you, Nicole.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Margot. I genuinely appreciate it. So, Jan, if we want to get started, I want to give you guys an idea of where we're taking this signature moment in 2015. When I addressed some of you all in 2014, we announced at the big event in November. Then we continued the drumbeat going into first quarter with Connected and with Interconnect. But guys, this is bigger than just a Connected and Interconnect statement. It's bigger than what IBM controls as far as getting the word out. What we're doing is we're using that general availability announcement first quarter as our anchor for something much bigger. We controlled Connected. For those of you that were hopefully there, we had 2,200 attendees. This is where we talked about the announcement of Verse coming generally available at the end of March. This is where we talked about the no-cost offering that we're going to be making available. This is where we invited all of you who attended Connected to be some of the first to experience it. Some of you should have received, or all of you who attended Connected should have received an email inviting you to be one of the first. You had to take action, and then you would have got a communication to start the onboarding process. If for any reason you had any challenges with that, because I've heard some things from Oliver, I do want you to reach out to myself and Oliver so we can follow back up with you on that. But guys, that was our first step into bringing together our tried and true and saying we want you guys to be one of the first. We had keynotes. We had over 100 sessions. We did demos. We did design camps. We pulled in influencers from around the world that were focused on business communications and our press. We had over 28 press that were involved to actually let them experience and talk about Verse. And what was fantastic is we generated almost 100 million Twitter impressions just from our event alone. Then we took that to Partner World, where we had our top business partners, and we exposed them to IBM Verse, and we did roundtables and executive discussions, and we did an engagement track, and we actually talked to them about the future of work, and we invited them to participate, and that was another opportunity for us to identify key partners and invite them to be some of the first that would experience Verse. Then we went to Interconnect. Now, so far I'm talking about all the IBM events. At Interconnect, we actually put IBM Verse on the main stage. On day 2, we actually presented in front of 20,000 people plus the live stream. We introduced IBM Verse in the context of a new way to work when we were talking about Watson Analytics. We had one of our clients, Cemex, up on stage talking about how they were using IBM Verse to transform the way that they communicated within their company and with their suppliers. We also had business partners focused on IBM Verse in the Business Partner Summit and roundtables and engagement activities. We introduced IBM Verse to over 150 analysts that are not our tried and true on the very first day of the event. We pulled together influencers from the Las Vegas area as well as those that had come forward with us in the November timeframe, and we generated another 200 million Twitter impressions. We had dinners with our top clients. We had additional analyst receptions, and we had over 40 sessions with Interconnect. And it's not easy to get a lot of momentum and excitement in an event of that scale, but we did really bring the attention to IBM Verse, and it was featured very heavily in the Expo Center. You saw it in the Cloud Marketplace and the Social Engagement Center, and as well as different areas throughout. And all the questions we were getting is, where do I sign up? When am I going to get it? We also then continued that momentum with advertising. You may have seen our TV ads during the NFL playoffs. We're going to be continuing to put those out there into the marketplace. We're going to be doing additional investments with print and additional advertising in the Wall Street Journal and in The Economist. We're also pumping in millions of dollars into our digital and social presence. We've been doing investments with Twitter, with LinkedIn, different ways to reach new audiences. We've also been rolling out 46 different tactics across the world that IBM controls and over 50 that our business partner controls, where you're going to see roadshows where people will be able to experience Verse. We have 18 different live events, 6 different webinars, and 21 different digital campaigns out there, all driving people to IBM Verse activities. We've also got a huge focus on our influencer channel. We've got over 40 influencers that we've been bringing along and actually showing them IBM Verse. They went through a design boot camp, and they're continuing to get access through the beta so they can test it, play with it, and see what they think versus the competition. We're going to continue that momentum because these guys have anywhere from a couple thousand to several 100,000 followers who want to hear what they have to say, and this is the way that we're going to be getting the word out. We're going to continue our analyst drumbeat by continuing to brief our analysts on what we're doing. We're actually going to be doing a number of advisories over the next 2 or 3 weeks where we're going to be talking about what Kramer alluded to, some of the use cases that we're looking to do with Watson Analytics, how we're going to be tying that security angle closer to the vest, talking about our business partner ecosystem, what we're going to be doing with our APIs, how we're going to actually reach a new set of business partners, what we're calling born on the cloud, things that we're trying to do with CSPs and MSPs as a way to kind of reach a new marketplace. And then we're going to do a very aggressive press tour over the course of March and April, doing a drumbeat, going out and talking to the press, giving them interviews. We're putting Kramer on the road. He's talking to a number of different publications because we want people to know what we're doing and where our investments are being made. But that, what I just described, is baseline. To take it to the next level and achieve what IBM is basically challenging the marketing team to do is called world domination. How are we going to get 500,000 people registered over the next several months? How are we going to reach over 500 million people so at least everyone knows about Verse? And how are we going to enlist 400,000 IBMers to go out and tell the story? Well, we're going to be starting with Europe. We're going to be doing what we're considering the next signature moment in Europe at CeBIT. If you all are not familiar with CeBIT, it is a large IT event that is based in Hanover, Germany, that will be taking place on March 16th through the 20th. We are doing an acre event very similar to what we did in New York. We're going to have Bob Picciano, Jeff Schick speaking, but we're going to take it to another level because this is all about a new way to work, and that's one of the shifts you're going to be seeing as we go into 2015. IBM's Verse is one of the few technologies that IBM has tagged as a new way to work on the scale of Watson Analytics. So you're going to see us going to market together more and more. So it's a new way to work event that will be anchored in Europe. We'll be talking about the new technology. We'll be demoing IBM Verse, and we're going to start testing some of those use cases out in the marketplace. We're going to be bringing clients on that are European-based, and we're also going to be bringing in influencers that are more European-focused, so that we're not just taking a European event and making it a rerun of what we did in the United States. And we're going to continue that momentum as we go into April with another event that Watson Analytics is leading in the UK, where we'll be again telling the story of Watson Analytics and IBM Verse, and we'll be tying those stories together even closer. I'm looking at some of the events plans, and then we have over 100 events that are scheduled over the course of the next 6 months, drumbeating IBM Verse through roadshows that we're either running, our business partners are running, or analyst events that we're going to be doing. We're also going to be investing very, very heavily in a number of large-scale events that IBM is running. Now, this is what the exciting part is that we're actually getting phone calls to say, we want to pull IBM Verse into events that we typically would not have been involved in. Mobile World Congress, Kramer referenced that. The Mobile First team called us and said, we want to better understand the mobile capabilities and how we can actually demonstrate IBM Verse on the show floor at Mobile World Congress. We have a business partner event reception. We would actually like to introduce the business partners to IBM Verse. That was over 85,000 people that attended Mobile World Congress. When was the last time that you saw us have permission to be pulled into something of that scale? Same thing with CeBIT. Over 30,000 people are registered for that event, and IBM Verse is going to be front and center as one of our leading business communication tools. In addition to that anchor event, we're doing think-a-thons. We're doing AR and PR roundtables. We're going to continue to do design boot camps with our analysts and a new set of social influencers, and we're going to do business partner receptions. We're also going to be supercharging this with a number of activities, and we're starting to get invited into things that Watson Analytics is driving. And that's what's really exciting is that we're starting to find that synergy, and bigger IBM is taking notice and pulling us into those activities. We're going to continue that momentum with South by Southwest. That's a new way of reaching another generation of people, and maybe people that didn't put business communications front and center. There's over 10,000 people that are going to be registered there. We're going to be doing Verse demonstrations, Verse roundtables. We're doing pedicab confessions, where we're actually going to be videotaping people as they're going from A to B, talking about how they use email today, what are the things that drive them crazy, how do they actually leverage social communications, and then showing them little quick snippets and getting their ideas of, what do you think about this? We're going to continue the momentum through TED in Vancouver, and then the Emerge event that will take place in May. And then we're going to be doing a surprise event tour that will be taking place over the course of second quarter. So that's just giving you an idea of what's happening for the big, large events that big IBM is playing in that we don't control. We're investing a lot of money in paid advertising and in social, and we're actually going to be featured on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. He's going to be broadcasting from South by Southwest, and he's going to be plugging IBM Verse, and they're going to do a little montage. Once we have the details of which day it's going to be, either Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll make sure to get that out on the social business site. But what I want to tell you is this is kind of fun. I haven't seen this kind of investment being made, and IBM's focus on making sure that more than just our tried and true know about what we're doing. We're also launching a massive internal communications campaign, because when IBM Verse goes general availability, we'll be talking to our IBMers about how they'll be getting onboarded. Just like you all, they've been raising their hands saying, when am I going to get this? When am I going to get this? And we're going to be beginning that migration activity over the course of the next several months with the goal to bring all of IBM onto IBM Verse. And when we do that, you're going to have 400,000 IBMers that are going to be out there talking about their experiences. Just like you all, they're going to need to get trained on what are the capabilities, depending on my persona and how I like to work, what are the functionalities that are going to really change the way that I do things today. And that's what's really exciting, is when people actually get to experience it, it really gives them a whole nother view of what's possible. So with that, I just want to give you kind of a call to action, something that you can actually do to get yourself further along. First off, if you have not signed up for Verse, then I would encourage you to do so. It puts you in the queue, and as we start to onboard people, you'll be getting a communication saying, congratulations, you know, we are now starting the onboarding process, but the very first thing you'll do is when you sign up, you'll get a confirmation. Great, we've confirmed that we've received your information. Shortly after, you will receive we are in the process of onboarding you, where you'll actually set up your account. While you're being onboarded, you'll be getting communications to teach you more about IBM Verse, how to use it, did you know, some tips and tricks, etc. While you're waiting to get that onboarding email, we're going to be giving you insights that other people wouldn't be getting, insights that go more into what Margot talked about. Meet the designers. Find out a little bit about why we created it the way we did, giving you a little bit more information about tips and tricks. So the sooner you sign up, the sooner you can be getting the inside track and you can get yourself into the queue. Again, if you attended Connected, you should have already received a communication that started this process. If for any reason you did not, I do want you to reach out to us. I would also encourage you to watch the live stream that we'll be doing from CBIT. We'll be putting together that URL and giving it to Oliver to make sure that we get it out to you. But it will be live streamed. You can watch it from the privacy of your own home, or if you're a business partner and you want to bring together a watching party, that's a fantastic way to do it. It will be available for replay, so that's a fantastic thing to do as a post-event activity. And then if you did not attend the webcast that took place yesterday, the Creating a New Way to Work webcast was a very creative way to actually give you insight into how our designers brought IBM Verse to the forefront. And Margot was one of our key participants in that. Again, there is just more than enough information out there, but I'm picking the things that are laser targeted. And I just want you to know this is something that IBM is going to continue to be investing in. You're going to see it through our analysts, through our business partners, through our IBM events, but you're going to see it through major industry events, through advertising, print, television, media, digital media, social surround, and then for us very strategically picking the social tippers that are around the world interested in this space and making sure that they have access to the information so that they can help us amplify to the market. So with that, I'm going to wrap up, Jan, and I think you guys are going to open it up for Q&A. Is that correct?
Yes, hi. Are you guys ready for your Q&A?
We are.
Oh, okay, excellent. You know, once again, I just have to say, it's not only is it a great webcast, but it gets me so cranked up for Verse. So, so let me start. We actually got a question via email last week to the SocialBiz mailbox, which is, will this product have ready-to-go connections to IBM FileNet /P8 and Salesforce?
So today, within our environment, we have linkages through our Connections Content Manager capabilities into the full portfolio of enterprise content management capabilities. So through the Connections linkages into using CCM, that capability exists on premises. So we are working on some of the additional linkages, and a big part of what we're focusing on right now, if you saw the roadmap slide, was around extensibility. Some of our top partners, you guys know, folks like Riva, for example, provide great linkages over to Salesforce and to other CRM solutions, and we're continuing to look at our extensibility plans as part of the Q2 set of updates, things that can provide like-for-like capabilities into other environments such as file sharing, but also that can expose some of our analytics capabilities that can be incorporated into other environments. And CRM is, in fact, one of the ones that we're very much focused on.
Okay, excellent. Here, this one just came in, and I think a lot of people are wondering this, is when will Verse be available for IBMers? Do you know?
Yes, so we're in the process. There are actually many IBMers that are in the beta, and the transition to the cloud that's occurring with many IBMers gives them access to Verse as it becomes available. So literally thousands of IBMers are getting access to Verse once we become generally available.
Okay. So here's one a little more technical. What are the technical back-end prerequisites for using the IBM Verse mobile app? Do I need the normal Domino 901 and Traveler 901 server in the back-end or something more?
No, the Verse mobile app is going to be first released based on the Verse cloud service. So this would be access to this would be a downloadable app from the Apple Apple Store or from Google, and access would begin immediately. So there's no linkage to the Notes Domino 9 environment if you're utilizing this from a cloud perspective.
Okay. Do you know when an API is going to be made available to partners?
Yeah, so the APIs are a big part of this extensibility strategy that we have, and we are working very closely with the chief architect for the space is Vinod Serafin. Vinod and I, along with Pete Jansen and folks like Scott Prager and others, are prioritizing the extensibility plans, and that is all focused on some of the use cases that we are taking to the Design Partner Program to help us prioritize which ones we should release first. Right now we have 4 specific ones that we're looking at, and in the next call, which I believe is in the first week in April, we will ask our design partners what the Design Advisory Program, which ones they think we should prioritize. So stay tuned. Certainly more information on the APIs are going to be coming up right away. That's a big part of quite a bit of work that's going on. In fact, it's pretty exciting because it ties into another set of work related to Bluemix and the availability of Domino in our application development environment as we announced at ConnectEd into the Bluemix environment, as well as a third piece related to the core connections and social capabilities. For example, the API strategy there has been fairly aggressive, and plans are underway to expose the file sync and share, the file management capabilities into Bluemix as well, those APIs there. So there's a pretty comprehensive strategy with Bluemix as somewhat the underpinning linkage point from a cloud perspective to allow us to expose APIs not only from Verse directly, but also to prop up Domino, and then also to extend some of the connections apps as well, starting with the file sync and share. All of that is well underway right now, and that could actually be a great webcast that we do, Stephen. So I might propose that to the team, and possibly 3 or 4 weeks we come back to the group and highlight some of the API plans, the extensibility strategy, Bluemix, and the broader linkage points that we have for the entire enterprise social software division. So let's tee that up. I think that's a really good topic. It sounds like there's a lot of interest, and we had received a lot of this feedback at ConnectEd. Work had been underway, well back into 2014, but I think we're just about at the point where we can start sharing the details publicly. So stay tuned for more there.
That sounds like a great idea. And Kramer, we're actually out of time, but I have one more question that I think if I don't ask this, I may get lynched, judging by the reactions in our chat. So for the last question, what is the migration path from existing in-house Notes Domino platforms to Verse? Can future calendar invitations be migrated, for example?
Yeah, so I think there's kind of 2 parts to that question. The Notes Domino platform, currently there is an opportunity for our users, our customers, to move to the cloud. So as everyone knows, Verse is built and will be released initially as a cloud service. So to access it, the intermediary step is to take advantage of a sales opportunity that we have in market today that will bridge, from a licensing perspective, your cloud, your on-premises environment to the cloud. So that is the first step to really getting access to Verse. And as far as the future calendar invitations, I'll have to check on that. I'm not sure if that is a capability we have or not. I'll ask one of my product managers, and let's post that one right away. We'll get back to the group here.
Excellent. All right, and I really hate to say this, but I am sorry that's all the time we have. And I would like to thank tremendously Kramer Reeves, Nicole Catrana, and Margot Ezekiel for a wonderful webcast. Now, everyone, as I said at the beginning, a recording of this webcast will be available on socialbizug.org just as soon as I can get it downloaded, edited, and posted. So please check back to the site for a blog post. I usually have it by the next day, by tomorrow. It'll be Friday at the absolute latest. Any questions that were not answered during our Q&A, I will be posting them to the site along with the webcast. So, everyone, thank you all for joining us today, and thank you for being a member of our community. Please take care. Goodbye, everyone.